As of yesterday, the total number of cases that we have here in Fresno County is 10,970. The total number of deaths is 104. The total currently hospitalized is 283. Our testing is at capacity. We're hearing just a lot of frustration that people aren't getting tested on the schedule that they need to be tested. Our contact tracing is certainly at capacity. We're really having trouble reaching out to everyone in a way that allows us to be fully engaged in the way that they quarantine and in all of the things that they need. And at the same time, our hospitals are severely impacted. That is another trend that we're noticing, is that really the 0 to 30 age group is really ticking up in a way that it never did before. Part of that is because they're getting tested more. As you'll recall, in the very early few weeks or months of this pandemic, the testing was reserved for really that older age group, perhaps the ones that had more comorbidities, the ones that were hospitalized. And then as we expanded testing out, we're now picking up coronavirus infections in more and more younger people. But beyond that, I think that there is seriously more spread going on, especially younger people that are perhaps congregating, meeting in crowds, not being as mindful for their own safety or the safety of others, not using masks. All of that is contributing to this uptick that we see in the younger age groups.
We're working with the hospitals every day, several times a day, seeing what the pulse is, checking to see when is that time that we're going to open up that facility at the exhibit hall. We're getting warmed up because we see that things are really getting close, but we haven't picked a date to start looking at opening it up because we're just not there yet. You don't want to open up the alternate care site too early, because then you have a lot of resources standing by waiting for people to show up. That's one of the things that we're monitoring so closely to see when it is time to open up that facility. But right now, the hospitals seem to be sustaining at this level, but I think that's temporary. I think at some point it's going to be inevitable and we will open up that alternate care site.
Right now, I think the question on everyone's mind is when exactly our school is going to get to reopen. The governor's announcement and the state policy at this time is that when a county is on the monitoring list, that really precludes schools from planning to reopen for in-person classroom activities. The waiver process is really designed for if a county's on the monitoring list, but they feel like they're in a position to go ahead and open schools safely, that this would be a way that the state provides a template and a list of metrics and a list of items that would be required. The hospitals and the ICU capacity have to be stable. And what we're hearing from our medical partners is that unfortunately they're experiencing more and more and higher levels of acuity with these COVID cases, as well as with everything else that the medical providers are being tasked to do. All of these are currently pointing to a scenario where a waiver would not be granted to us for us to reopen some of our schools. And this waiver, as the state language has it, is for the elementary schools only. But that's kind of where we are. I think we continue to look at our numbers every day, every week, and really ask that question of, when are we going to leave the monitoring list? But again, it goes back to all of us. It really goes back to all of us wearing masks, staying home, staying apart whenever we leave our home. Being very mindful that the individual actions that each of us take, whether we're a parent or not, is having some direct implications for how soon our kids can get back into the schools.